the US has never accepted. Joining me live now is Fatima Abo Alasrar, Director of Policy and Research with the Washington Center for Yemeni Studies. Welcome to you. Thank you so much for being with us. I think it's fair to say that the mood music coming out of these latest talks has been fairly positive. How do you rate the chances of a deal anytime soon?
Right, thanks for having me, Helena. I know that it's been hailed as constructive, but I think right now the prospects really of a deal is dim. Iran is not negotiating in good faith. I believe it's stalling with the UN snapback mechanisms on sanctions that's going to happen and expire on October 2025. I believe that Tehran is simply running down the clock because after that date, reimposing the sanctions would be extremely difficult. It would require UN Security Council consensus, and countries like Russia and China are expected to veto any kind of effort on that regard. So, and we also saw the foreign minister of Iran travel to Russia just yesterday to deliver a letter from Khamenei to Vladimir Putin, and he's also headed towards Beijing. So I think they're much more serious on that front than actually complying with the deal.
But Fatima, on the other hand, we've heard threats from the likes of the US that if there isn't a diplomatic solution, they could face military action, essentially strikes. There have been stealth bombers moved to the region. So in that case, would they be incentivized to run down the clock if they're facing military action?
I mean, if diplomacy fails, if it breaks down, frankly, it is really likely to happen. So yes, the US might pivot from this engagement. I doubt that it's going to be an attack on Iran directly, unless that it perceives the threat to be too near. But it might be through containment of other proxies in the region. The Houthis have been a significant problem on the Red Sea that the United States have been trying to contain. So it might likely up the attacks on proxies, try to isolate them, try to increase sanctions on Iran, and make it really difficult for either Russia or China to continue supporting them. So there are many tools in its box, and deterrence in terms of a military action might on Iran directly might be unlikely, but it's not completely off the table.
Fatima, if there is a deal, do you think it would be at all different from the one that Donald Trump pulled out of?
I'm not entirely sure that it would be. I mean, a deal at this point with the fact that there might not be good faith on the table is going to be really problematic. And what we saw from the International Atomic Energy Agency is that Iran right now has around like 5.5 tons of enriched uranium. So this is really concerning. So, they're reaching or coming really close to having a weapon. And that's something that the United States and Israel cannot tolerate. So if even the United States doesn't take action, it's very likely that Israel might to defend its security.
We'll have to leave it there, unfortunately. But Fatima Abo Alasrar, thank you so much for being with us. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me, Helena.